Sports on 6, the 402 Tip-Off.
Welcome into the 402 Tip-Off podcast. I'm Mason Kern. We'll be joined by Sports Director Creighton Collier momentarily. Thanks for joining us. A little bit of a sabbatical for the holidays. The transfer portal in college football wide open. Nebraska football losing in the Las Vegas Bowl. Now we're full steam ahead on winter sports and college basketball. Obviously, plenty to talk about with Nebraska, Creighton, and Omaha. Multiple local teams ranked. And we'll welcome in Sports Director Creighton Collier. Now he is joining us remotely from the airport. Clayton, how's it going? You want to tell people where you're going for a few nice days off?
Hey Mason, how's it going? Yeah, out here in Florida at the Orlando airport, going to see some friends here for the next couple of days, but I couldn't leave without talking about the undefeated number 10 in the country, Nebraska Cornhuskers. I'm excited about it. It was fantastic. I mean, the Michigan State game last Friday was incredibly exciting. The Ohio State game was exciting. We're going to get into all of that, but Mason, this is a big step for 402 Tip-Off here. I mean, we have the first time that we're doing this in multiple states. We did it in multiple cities with
Right.
Omaha and Lincoln, and now we're doing this from the East Coast and then back in Omaha. This is one small step for the podcast, one giant leap for WOWT.
Yeah, there we go. First Alert 6 really making strides here. You and me going states
Yeah,
apart, but I think the connection looks
seriously,
good.
it does. It does. And I want to shout out, Jeff, Michael, Mike. I asked them a couple weeks ago when you had to be in Lincoln. I was like, hey, are we able to do this in Omaha and Lincoln? You're like, yeah, no problem.
That's
I
easy.
said, hey, can we do this on Zoom? They said, yeah, no problem. I mean, the limit does not exist. So thank you guys for setting that up.
Yeah, appreciate all the guys behind the scenes making this thing run. And we'll mention those Nebraska Cornhuskers now 10th ranked in the country. They go on the road to Ohio State most recently, pull out another one-score victory, 72-69 to stay undefeated on the year, 15-0 for the Big Red. And Braden Frager, the redshirt freshman, scores 15 points to lead them there. Really clutch in the final few minutes there, 6 of 9 shooting from the field, a couple big and ones. Sam Hoiberg, huge stat. I mean, the scoring, he's been a glue guy all year, but 9 rebounds for the shortest guy on the court. Pretty incredible. And Clayton, they just keep finding ways to win. I mean, it was 2-pointer over Michigan State. We'll touch on that in a little bit. But what did you see from this Ohio State victory to really stake Nebraska's claim in the fact that they're real and they're here to stay?
Yeah, I mean, it's what we saw against Michigan State. We saw a fight. We saw them taking advantage of the opponent making mistakes, not backing down. I mean, Fred Hoiberg said it after the game. He said, the success has not changed this program. It changes how other teams are approaching them, and now they're going to get their best swing. But it hasn't changed Nebraska. And how about Braden Frager with the fight we saw in that second half, that 9-0 run that was key, before Ohio State really pushed closely at the end of that game. For him to come through with that big and one, push them to, a 8-point lead, 9-point lead there with like 2 minutes to go. Was incredible to see there. And the Michigan State game, man, was that exciting to see. I mean, the court stormings, PBA is an incredibly difficult place to play when you have the fans engaged. We saw it 2 years ago with Purdue, with Wisconsin. I don't think college basketball fans are fully aware of the sleeping giant that is Nebraska and Husker Nation. And if you have this team continuing to perform the way it is into March, I mean, look out. The city of Memphis, Tennessee saw it 2 years ago when they took over FedEx Forum against Texas A&M, and obviously that one didn't go that well. But if you have a second weekend team, which is the level this team is playing at right now, Husker Nation is going to show up massive for this team like they never have before.
Yeah, and I mean, they're doing it without Connor Sejan, who, was relatively streaky maybe earlier in the year, but, they're getting production from so many places. We've talked about Rink Mast all year, and his court vision, his ability to stretch the floor and show up in big moments. I mean, he was super clutch against Michigan State. And, Tom Izzo said he was all for the court storming. Some of the Nebraska players, maybe not so much. Jamarcus Lawrence, Rink Mast, both kind of saying, like, hey, guys, like, we're 13th in the country. They're 9. We're at home. We're supposed to win that game. But nonetheless, happy for the fans to experience the joy that comes with playing winning basketball, and they're going to look to sustain that push. I mean, we've seen so much this year, guys stepping up in big moments. When Price Sanford gets into foul trouble, other guys pick him up. Braden Frager's had an incredible stretch in Big Ten play, and you can't say enough about a guy who willingly takes a redshirt year in this day and age of college basketball, stays with the program, doesn't transfer, and then, reaps the rewards of that and is stepping up in really big moments. Some freshman moments with the hot-headed moment against Michigan State, getting the technical foul in a key situation. But I think he came back and bounced back, really just growing and learning as the season goes on. And Clayton, I wanted to touch on, too, what do you make of Jamarcus Lawrence and his return and the value he's provided to this team since coming back from Rhode Island?
I mean, he's just been a continued spark. You talk about the addition of Rink Mast. I mean, getting a guy coming back in that already knows the program, what he's been able to do both on the perimeter, driving, playmaking for this team. It's just another key cog for them. And, when you lose a guy like Connor Essegian, when you have all these different guys that can step up in different ways, Jamarcus Lawrence definitely adds to it. Wanted to point out, though, I mean, this week also began with a major milestone for Nebraska basketball, where you had them coming in at 10th in the nation, which they haven't done that since 1966.
My parents weren't even born yet.
My parents were, but we don't have to talk about that. But I mean, Lyndon B. Johnson was president. They had just finished the bleachers on the North Stadium at Memorial Stadium. I mean, this is newfound territory for this program. So while I appreciate the mentality from Rink Mast and the like, saying, hey, let's not storm the court for
right.
The 13 team being the 9th. Like they were 14th in the preseason poll. For them to come up and do what they're doing right now, be undefeated, 15-0, 10th in the country. There's excitement here. So yeah, storm the court all you want, as long as they keep winning.
Yeah, and as Ken Pavelka says, make room for Daddy in the top 10 there, huh?
There's certainly room for Nebraska basketball. I'll say that.
Yeah.
But going into this weekend, Indiana is going to be a real test. They're a receiving votes team, but they're also one of the most efficient offenses in college basketball. I mean, their assist to turnover ratios among the best. Their assist numbers. They're just a dynamic offensive team, and they're smart. They are efficient. This is going to be a big test for that Nebraska defense. Make no doubt about it.
Indiana will be a test. They play on Saturday at 11 a.m. Central Time. Nebraska looking to go 16-0. Meanwhile, we'll move on to Creighton, who started in the top 25 to begin the season. They obviously had their issues to start the year. It's like a 4-game win streak to Seton Hall, where they had a 16-point lead at one point in this game, but lose a heartbreaker 56-54 as the Pirates come back. Clayton, you are very, very familiar with this Seton Hall program. What was your take from this disappointing finish for Creighton?
Yeah, Shaheen Holloway, his program, his identity for his team is to get players that are bought in, defensive juggernauts that are going to dive on the ball, make it a rock fight. And that's exactly what we saw. And Creighton was effective against it. I mean, it wasn't a secret. They're, top in the conference, both steals and blocks. But, Creighton was effective against that, for about 30 minutes or so. And then Seton Hall really kind of took over and did what they do best with that. And you saw it down the stretch, ended up just going Seton Hall's way, back breaking one there for Creighton. But you need to turn the page quickly, because Villanova is led by Kevin Willard. Kevin Willard coached at Seton Hall prior to Shaheen Holloway, and both of them run similar offenses. They also pride themselves on deflection, steals, havoc on defense. So you have two coaches that build their teams pretty similar back to back. So how do they respond tonight against Villanova, a team that is also, cooking early on this year? They're 18th in the net right now, 12-2. They have a couple of quad one wins already. This is going to be a challenge for Creighton, and you let that first quad one opportunity of the season get away at Seton Hall. You have another one right now here against Villanova. Need to take advantage against Kevin Willard and the Wildcats.
Yeah, and I mean, again, they took that 4-game win streak on the road to Seton Hall, so they've had success in Big East play, and especially, I think we have video of the Butler game when they won that. You continue to see guys step in with that altered rotation. Austin Swartz has been a spark plug this year since he went from scout team to starter. He had 16 in the loss at Seton Hall to lead Creighton. Jason Green has obviously been a guy. He only missed one shot, had 13 points at Seton Hall. And Josh Dix, it seems like he's kind of rounded into form. He added 10 at Seton Hall. Against Butler, that was a game where it started, slow and kind of picked up in Creighton's favor, and they were able to sustain Butler's push. Against Seton Hall, you didn't see as much of that. Seton Hall was able to come back, and then once Creighton got punched late, they just weren't quite able to finish and punch back all the way. But this is a team that has changed its rotation, and it seems like guys are more bought in now, Clayton, than at the beginning of the year, because they've seen some wins. And Jason Greed pretty much said as much at the practice you attended the week before Seton Hall.
Yeah, he said they've been coming together. I mean, you set a Big East record in the first 3 games for
Right.
margin of
That helps.
victory. So, winning cures all. Winning by a lot really cures all. So, a deflating loss against Seton Hall, but like I said, a chance to turn the page here against another really good team in Villanova before you come home for another really challenging game on Saturday against St. John's. Rick Pitino and the
That's
boys
a big
coming
one.
into CHI Health Center. That's going to be a big one again. So, no time to get upset and wish what was. You got to look forward here starting tonight against Villanova.
They're all big in the Big East, and you mentioned it tonight at 6:30. Nebraska or Creighton, excuse me, and Villanova tip off in the Big East. We'll move on to Omaha men's basketball. Been a season of ups and downs for Chris Crutchfield and the Mavericks tonight. Really emotional game on the docket in Summit League play. North Dakota comes to Baxter Arena at 7 p.m. More importantly, probably honoring the life of Dang Mayer, who transferred from North Dakota to Omaha this offseason and tragically passed away in a drowning accident out in Utah before the season began. Clayton, just the emotions of this one gonna be riding high for really both programs. What do you make or just know of how they're kind of honoring him tonight?
Yeah, tomorrow night it's going to be an emotional day for Omaha men's basketball. Dang Mayer, as you mentioned, he came in from North Dakota, really became an integral part of that program before tragically passing away this summer. So, to have his former team and his new team in Omaha playing together, but we know that Omaha is planning to honor him with special T-shirts. They already have patches throughout the year. I'm sure there'll be a moment of silence. It's going to be an emotional one. But any basketball players, any athlete knows, once the ball is tipped, your focus is on the game. But I know both teams will have a lot of focus on Dang, and rightfully so, going into this one.
Definitely emotions riding high. Omaha again plays tomorrow. I messed that up. Not tonight. Tomorrow at 7 p.m. Central against North Dakota. The Mavericks trying to snap a 3-game losing streak in the process as well. Get on the right track in Summit League play. We'll move on to Nebraska women's basketball, who has dropped to 25th in the AP poll. Lost their first couple games, both to ranked teams though, USC and Iowa. But then they bounced back in Big Ten play, beat Purdue 78-62. Elkhorn North alum Britt Prince leads the way with 17 points, 5 boards. She hits 4 threes. And honestly, Clayton, Nebraska shot the lights out from 3 in this game overall. Amaya Hargrove went a perfect 3 for 3 from 3 in this game for a 16-point win. So what did you see just in the bounce back, the ability to kind of get punched, stay competitive in a couple ranked games, and then kind of come back in Big Ten play and get a double-digit win over Purdue?
Yeah, it speaks to the maturity of Nebraska women's basketball at this point. I mean, you play 2 ranked opponents, USC, Iowa, fall in both of those, and then you turn around and take care of business at home on Sunday. Just speaks to what Amy Williams has cooking right now. They hang on at 25th in the country. They have some major challenges this week, not only Indiana coming up tomorrow, but then the big one on Sunday where you have UCLA, Lauren Betts, Kiki Rice coming into town, the number 4 team in the country for a Sunday night battle at PBA. I can't wait for that. My wife and I have tickets to that game.
There we go.
I can't wait to just go and experience that. I mean, what a doubleheader of women's basketball that we have. And not to look ahead to our next topic, but I mean, you have Creighton hosting UConn, the number 1 team in the
Right.
country, at 1 o'clock in Omaha, and then that night out in Lincoln, you have Nebraska against UCLA. I mean, this is like the Barbenheimer of Nebraska women's basketball. Just an incredible double feature. And I can't wait to see both ends of that. I made sure that I was coming back from Florida in time to see those 2 games on Sunday.
Well, you got to, and you'll experience some great women's basketball. I think we have video of the Iowa loss for Nebraska before we get to Creighton fully. This one stayed, close throughout. Britt Prince leading the charge again against a top 25 matchup between Nebraska and Iowa, but the score in the end more lopsided than how the game actually felt in the final few minutes there. Iowa able to pull away and win by 10. And if Nebraska hopes to be what they think they can be in March Madness, these are games that they're gonna learn from, right? And you've seen the growth in the front court without Alexis Markowski this year from a lot of different options. Eliza Maupin has been big. Amaya Hargrove stepping into a bigger role. Jess Petrie. They were on full display against Iowa. Can't quite finish the job, but they come back and bounce back against Purdue, as we've said. And now, next up, they will host Indiana on Thursday at 7 Central. We'll move on to Creighton women's basketball now, though, as they obviously been kind of up and down in Big East play. It's a fresh team. It's a young team. We've mentioned it multiple times. Jim Flannery trying to replace a lot of talent. They come out in Big East play and beat Butler, most recently 67-59. Both Kennedy Townsend and Grace Buffelli contribute 16 points, and a nice rebounding effort for both of them. And really overall, I was at this game, Clayton, and Butler probably put up one of their best defensive performances in conference play, at least in recent memory. I mean, it was a rock fight. We've mentioned that a couple times. The ability to get punched and punch back has been really big. How have you seen, though, the growth of some of the freshmen? They had no Ava Zedeker in this game. She is, according to a source in Creighton, expected to return against Marquette if all kind of stays the course, but no Ava Zedeker against Butler. You've seen the Gessert twins step up. You've seen Kendall McGee step up. How have the freshmen kind of ridden the wave of Big East play so far?
Yeah, I mean, it's the reason that they're, sniffing 500 right now. I mean, Keani Glockman got injured. They've been trying to put things together. This is an incredibly talented freshman class for Creighton women's basketball. And it's one thing to be talented. It's another one to be college ready. And, the Gessert twins, Ava Zedeker, they've shown that they are college ready, which is incredibly impressive that they were able to do that within their first couple months.
Right.
So I've been thoroughly impressed by them. That it's only up from here, and that this program is only going to get better, not only in the seasons ahead, but, from what we've seen in November up through March. So it's been up and down. That's to be expected with freshmen, but you have arguably the biggest week of the season coming up right now, where you have to go at Marquette tomorrow, traditionally one of the better programs in the Big East. And then, as I mentioned, Sunday, 1:00, number one team in the country at CHI Health Center. Creighton's never beaten Connecticut. This would be a heck of a time for the first time for it to happen. It would be an incredible upset. I just wanted to read these off for you, Mason.
Go ahead.
So UConn 15-0, number one in the country. They beat number 6 Michigan, number 16 USC, number 11 Iowa. Here are their results in Big East play. Xavier 104-39 win. DePaul 102-35 win. Marquette 89-53. Butler 94-47. Providence 90-53. Seton Hall 84-48. They play St. John's tonight. But in those 6-0 games, the average margin of victory 48 points. The Huskies are always a monster. They are a monster this year. So great opportunity for Creighton on Sunday to measure themselves against the best in the country, for sure, especially these freshmen, to see where you stack up against the best as they go ahead and throughout their career.
Yeah, you want to be tested against the best. It is their pink out game at the CHI Health Center, so hopefully see a lot of pink in there for the number one team in the country, UConn, coming to town. But next up, Creighton plays Marquette at Marquette Thursday at 7 p.m. We'll transition now finally to Omaha women's basketball. We've talked about them several times, obviously, this season. Building year in year one under Jamie Carey. They're riding a 2-game losing streak after beating Briarcliff, an NAIA program, for their second win of the year. They're next looking for their third win against North Dakota, similarly to the men in Summit League play. They play at 7 Central on Thursday. Clayton, nice to see Omaha get that win over Briarcliff when it wasn't necessarily easy. A couple lopsided losses in Summit League play, but Jamie Carey building this program. And they even added a couple players from an open tryout because they've dealt with injury issues.
They've been through it this year, but a real opportunity here. I know it's on the road, and it's tough, and their 2 wins have been NAIA teams, but they have an opportunity to maybe get that first win at the Division I level here against a North Dakota team that I believe only has 3 wins going into the year. So, it's an opportunity, like I said, for them to really get that kind of get that monkey off their back and start to look ahead, as opposed to dealing with all the challenges that they've dealt with this year between injuries and coaching change. And like you said, when you have an open tryout on December 15th, you're dealing with a lot of adversity. Omaha's certainly been through it this year, and they deserve to get one in the win column. So hopefully we see that come Thursday.
That they do, and it's pretty cool. One of those players they added was Riley Plummer, who is an Omaha native. Cool to see her get back into the game. She started her career at College of St. Mary, left basketball for mental health reasons, and now is back kind of helping Omaha. I will say people within the Mavericks program are really high on Jamie Carey and what she's building, and they're very confident the wins will come as she kind of builds this program up her way. But for Clayton Collier out at the airport and on his way to Florida, that's going to wrap up this edition of 402 Tip-Off Podcast. Clayton, any final thoughts before we wrap this thing?
My final thought, Mason, is you need to finish watching what we have so far of season 5 of Stranger Things.
I
You
have
were telling me
heard.
I had to go out and see the Broadway show. You saw the
Yes.
Broadway show. You're telling me you know all the lore, but you haven't watched season 5 yet.
I'm the type of person who has to finish what they're watching before I can transition to the next, but I will. I have heard all my friends say that they think there is another episode coming, whatever that
Tonight,
means.
possibly tonight. That's
I,
the thing. The
I don't know quite
conformity
yet.
gate, all the I've never been a conspiracy theorist, but when it comes to Stranger Things and a potential ninth episode, I don't know. They've had interviews all week long on Jimmy
Okay.
Fallon where it seems like they're dropping hints. There's a plug for us that you probably need to be watching that to figure out one way or the other. Vecna was on last night and he said at one point it all begins tomorrow.
Oh
So
boy.
I don't know. I don't know. All
See,
I'm
the good
saying
thing
is I'm
about my way of watching shows is I get to binge all of the episodes at once if there is a
no,
ninth
but
episode.
that,
So
that's the thing that ruins the for
no.
you to watch what has been billed as the series finale
Hmm.
and then possibly it not be the finale. Like if you're just that ruins the magic of it. Like we could go all day on this, but
We
I was
could.
just like with Breaking Bad, like there was the final season, a wait a week, and the cliffhangers they left you on. Like binging it after the fact is not the
I
same
don't know, man.
impact
To
of
each their own. I hope you
yeah.
enjoy it if you get it, and I'll watch it eventually, though. There we go.
I may be in a hotel room in Florida
Yeah.
tonight, watching on a laptop the actual finale. Conformity Gate is real. That's all I'm saying.
All right. However, you get the job done. Clayton, thanks for taking the time on the road. And thank you guys for watching this edition of the 402 Tip Off Podcast. We'll see you next time.